Welcome again to Pint Sized Guilt-Free Torah. Sometimes people say, if I'm doing the wrong thing, let God strike me with a bolt of lightning. That's actually a pretty arrogant comment because when you think about it, there are 8 billion people in the world. Why in the world would God stop what he's doing, so to speak, and just for you create that bolt of lightning? Somewhere in Piscataway, New Jersey, is going to that bolt of lightning, and somewhere else in Washington, D.C., and another place here, and then in South Korea, and this, all for a bunch of individuals? Now, God doesn't do that. But how do we explain this? There's a story that I was reminded of. Rabbi Salanter, one of the great rabbis of the 19th century, and he founded the Musar movement. That's a movement of mindfulness and self-awareness, one of the great gifts to the Jewish people. And he was once staying at an inn, and the innkeeper had been a man who had left the path of Judaism and of his ancestors, and was leading a different type of life. And he said, he saw a rabbi there, a great rabbi, and he said, "Rabbi, I got to tell you, I'm not worried about this, my lifestyle, everything. I really could care less about anything. Because if God existed, let him strike me with a bolt of lightning." That exact thing. Okay, so Rabbi Salanter didn't say anything, but that afternoon, the innkeeper's daughter came home. She was very happy, and Rabbi Salanter said, what is you happy about? She said, "I had a violin recital today, and after the recital, there was a competition of violinists, and I won the competition." And so Rabbi Salanter said, "Great, I'd like to judge you for myself. Could you play for me?" She said, "I just proved myself in front of a group of judges, a bunch of experts. I can't prove. I'm not going to play in front of every Tom, Dick, and Harry that asks me in the street or at home. Yeah, play, prove it. It's just, I'm just not going to do it. It's just ridiculous." And so, okay, he listened. And then he went back to the innkeeper and he said, "I had an interesting conversation with your daughter today." And he told the conversation was, and the innkeeper said, "My daughter's 100% right. She can't play in front of everybody. She proved herself once, and that's it. She doesn't have to play in front of every Tom, Dick, and Harry." So Rabbi Salanter said, "Listen to your words." For the Jewish people also, God once created miracles, changed the course of nature at the time when the Jews were leaving Egypt, at the Exodus, and also at the Red Sea. That was the one time in world history that God has changed the course of nature in such a way. And he said, so he did it. He proved it. He's not going to do it for every Tom, Dick, and Harry who says, "Strike with a bolt of lightning." It's such an arrogant idea. 8 billion people in the world, and for each one, he's going to create a different miracle. No, it doesn't work like that. And so this is the idea of how Jews ultimately view events in the world. That God doesn't have to create outright miracles. No, we appreciate what we'll call the smaller miracles in life. We appreciate the things like that I ate breakfast this morning. The food is being digested in a miraculous way. Yeah, I can break it down through science, but it's not incredible that somewhere along the line a system was created that you put something down your throat, and then what's supposed to be filtered out the body through the kidneys, they will take care of that. Stuff that's supposed to go to the intestines goes there. The proteins go where the protein goes. The carbs go where the carbs go. It's like a gorgeous symphony happening, and while you're speaking, while you're going about your day, and you don't even realize it. Is that not a miracle? Is it not a miracle that he places this tiny little thing called a seed in the ground, and it can grow up to be a sequoia redwood? What has been embedded in that seed? And so many other aspects of our life. Imagine if someone would come up with an incredible machine. And you know what the machine could do? The machine, you put grass in this machine, and it goes through a process, and it produces milk. Imagine that person would win the Nobel Prize. So much hunger in the world, so many children who don't get milk, so many starving people would be able to have access to milk because we'd send these machines all over the world. Guess what? There is such a machine. It's called a cow. It eats grass and it produces milk. It just, big deal. Now, if a person created it, wow, that would be a big deal. Same way as a person created it, even a mosquito. You ever see a mosquito flies on the ceiling? The sense of balance. It's incredible. It's miraculous. We don't appreciate it because we didn't create it, but God created it. And that's one of the main sources, we'll call, of being Jewish. The Ramban, great medieval commentator, says at the end of his commentary on this week's Parsha, he says, we're talking in these Parshas all about the Exodus from Egypt, on these Torah readings, every week after week. And it says, Umina Nisim HaGedolim, for some, that amongst the great miracles that have happened, in the time of the Exodus, he says, but Adam Modeh B'Nisim Hanistorim Shem Yesodei HaTorah Kula, that Also a person has to acknowledge the miracles, which are the hidden miracles, like the cow, like the seed in the ground, like your food being digested, like your eyesight. You walk into a dark room, your eyes automatically adjust. I mean, for a camera, they had to create something that would adjust. And this all happens in this beautiful, finely tuned universe that we live in. And so that's really our jobs as Jews to understand that. That the Ramban is saying that's part and parcel of being Jewish, is the belief that yes, there miracles happened thousands of years ago. That was outright, but God doesn't need to reprove himself and change the course of nature. But what happens to us day in and day out, the lives we lead, the fact that a child gets born and immediately the parent love goes into that child, love for that child, and that makes it so people want to protect the child. People can change the diapers. People all this. Otherwise it wouldn't make sense. You wouldn't do that. There's this intrinsic love for a child. This is another part of the miracles of the world. There are so many hidden miracles. The only difference in what we call a miracle and what we call nature is frequency of occurrence. And we have to realize these things happen every day, acknowledge them, be thankful to God, and it should lead us to humility. And the exact opposite of the person who says, let him make a bolt of lightning for me, which is arrogant, and lead us to this and spread this message to ourselves and to the world. Have a great Shabbos.